Immunology is the branch of biology that studies the immune system. And the immune system, like the cardiovascular system, is comprised of cells in the body, which are white blood cells, the most important of which are lymphocytes and macrophages. And so what one studies when one studies the immune system is that you study those cells. What we study is we try to understand how the immune system recognizes, as much in the same way that you recognize a friend when you're coming down the street. The cells of the immune system recognize foreign particles like microbes, viruses, bacteria, and it reacts against them and rids them from your body. So 30 years ago, my laboratory discovered, identified, purified the first hormone of the immune system, which is we call T-cell growth factor. It's now called interleukin 2. And what it does is that when the cells of the immune system recognize something as foreign, the cells make interleukin 2, and they also put receptors on their cell surface for interleukin 2, and then it's the IL-2 receptor interaction that gives signals to the cell to replicate their DNA and undergo mitosis and divide, so that you generate more and more and more cells that react against the offending agent. Hormones are small molecules that are made in the body, that's usually circulated in the blood to all parts of the body. And the distinctive feature about hormones is that they have receptors on different cells of the body, so that when a hormone binds to its receptor, it tells the cell to do different kinds of things. And one of the hallmarks of hormones is that they have negative feedback loops. Otherwise, they would always be working all the time. So that what a hormone does, it binds to its receptor, it tells the cell what to do, but at the same time it gives a negative signal that ultimately turns off that signal. So for example, a negative feedback loop is illustrated by the pituitary gland and the adrenal gland. The pituitary gland is up in your head, and it secretes hormones that travel through the blood to the adrenal gland, which sits on top of one of or both of your kidneys, and tells the adrenal gland to make hormones. Those hormones then circle back to the pituitary gland and turn the initial signal off. Glands are actually collections of cells in a particular place in the body that have a particular function. I spoke about the adrenal gland, and it's a triangular shaped collection of cells that sit on top of the kidney, and they secrete hormones into the blood that then circulate around and give signals to other parts of the body. The thymus is a gland that's in the upper chest, which sits right on top of the great vessels, the aorta and so forth, as they come out of the heart. And the thymus functions not to secrete hormones, but to be a place where cells go to learn how to behave properly. And in particular, the T cells, because they go there to learn thymus education, mature there and ultimately exit the thymus as mature, educated cells that can recognize non-self and also recognize self. So when they recognize non-self, they react, and when they recognize self, they don't react. And that's really the crux of the immune system.
Okay.
So the thymus is a collection of immature lymphocytes that come from the bone marrow, go to the thymus, and reside there for several days to several weeks. And they migrate from the outside, from just under the surface of the thymus, to the middle, to the interior of the thymus. And in their transit, they are given many different signals from the cells that are already there, and also from what we call stromal cells, which are support cells that secrete molecules that give signals to the thymus to either live or die, essentially. And those cells in the thymus that recognize self, which wouldn't be a good idea, those cells actually are programmed to die in the thymus. so that only the cells that recognize non-self make it through the educational process and go out into the rest of our body.